Coming up on Mountain News this morning, there was a helicopter crash last night in Owen County that killed 3 crew members. And if the drive to a doctor's office is too much, a new organization is working to meet folks recovering from addiction where they live.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Madison Carmouche. We're coming up on 5 o'clock this Tuesday morning. And let's send it over to meteorologist Megan Dusmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, I was saying when I came in, it's a little chilly outside. I'm not used to it.
It was definitely a lot chillier than this time yesterday. That cold front finally caught up to us and lowered that temperature significantly for this morning. So if you're heading out the door, it'll be a lot cooler, but looking throughout the region, it's looking to be definitely not as foggy as it was yesterday. There's a little issue with YMT Studios camera right now because we're not seeing too much here. If you're in the area, fog will not be that big of an issue with the exception of Ashland and Williamsburg. Half a mile visibility over there, but it's going to be a good start to the day. Those current temperatures we're talking about, we are in the 40s right now. Definitely something we haven't seen in quite the time. 43 for Hazard, and if you're in Jackson, you're seeing those 50s already, 52 over there. High temperatures will be getting to the 70s, some areas in the upper 60s today. Not a bad high temperature for your Tuesday. In the next 12 hours, we'll be warming up to those high temperatures, and we will have nice and sunny skies for the next couple of hours. I'll have your ARH 4K forecast in just a couple of minutes.
All right, Megan, thank you. We begin this morning with a developing story out of northern Kentucky. A federal investigation is underway after a medical helicopter crashed in Owen County, leaving 3 dead. It happened off Old Highway 22 near Owenton, not far from the Amigos Mexican restaurant, where people say they heard a huge explosion. Air Evac Life Team officials say 3 crew members from AEL Base 133 out of Grant County were killed. The FAA confirmed it was a Bell 206 helicopter that crashed. They were identified by the coroner as Gail Ellman, Bethany Eichman, and James Welsh. They were on their way to pick up a patient when it happened. We will keep you updated as we learn more on WYMT.com and the WYMT News app. This has happened before in eastern Kentucky. On June 6, 2013, Air Evac Life Team Flight 109 crashed near Paces Creek Elementary School in Clay County, killing the pilot, flight paramedic, and flight nurse. And it's been more than 25 years since a medical helicopter crashed in Breathitt County. A University of Kentucky Air Medical Services helicopter crashed into a hillside in June 1999. It was shortly after taking off from the Julian Carroll Airport to return to Lexington at the end of their shift. All 4 crew members were killed in that crash. Many of us have friends and loved ones in Florida. We talked to Joseph Burke this week, who is from Letcher County and moved to Central Florida.
The only thing that we're actually concerned about at this point where I'm at in Central Florida is shingle damage and debris hitting our windows. That's really the biggest concern because that could really do some, and of course power outages is going to be an inevitable thing.
Burke tells us people who live along or close to the coast are at a higher risk of serious damage to their homes, largely because of flooding. As Hurricane Milton makes a beeline for Florida, members of the Jefferson County Special Operations Team are on their way to Georgia. They are hoping to get ahead of the storm and be ready to provide emergency response efforts. The team stocked up with plenty of supplies, including rescue boats, chainsaws, and medical kits. One of the members says the unit can operate on their own and be self-sufficient for up to 72 hours. Hurricane Helene made its way through several states more than 1 week ago, hitting parts of Appalachia hard and killing more than 230 people. Appalachian Regional Healthcare is continuing a supply drive for victims. Folks can drop off all donations at any ARH hospital, and larger donations should be delivered to the Disaster Relief Center at the old JCPenney in Hazard. COO of Hazard ARH, Chris Mueller, says there are certain items that people should consider donating.
That's going to be needed once they have a home is probably not really needed right now. It's just going to go in storage or get lost. Things that they need right now is ready-to-eat food because they may not have food. They may not have gas or electricity to go ahead and cook food. So something they can open up a can and eat or open up a bag and eat as quickly as possible.
ARH is also taking monetary donations as well. Administrators with Harlan Independent Schools are partnering with Evergreen Church to gather donations for victims affected by Helene. Those donations are being collected until October 11th, which is this Friday. Items can be dropped off at the Sunshine office in Sunshine Elementary, in front of the office at Harlan Elementary, and in the Harlan Middle break room. Folks can bring baby care items as well as cleaning supplies and other donations. A new wellness center in Letcher County is aiming to meet people wherever they are in their recovery journey. It is a new effort to help others gain access to treatment and other resources. WYMT's RJ Johnson explains the impact officials hope this has on the county.
Help End Addiction for Life has been working to do just that for several years. The organization's recovery hub has opened its doors in downtown Whitesburg.
It is a one-stop shop where anybody who experiences the challenges of having substance use disorder can stop in and we can link them to support.
Kentucky River District Health Department Public Health Director Scott Lockard says there will be resources such as a harm reduction lab, a computer lab for connecting folks with job opportunities, and more.
We'll be running multiple support groups. We'll be having, AA support groups and then other groups up there, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery. There's just various different groups that we'll be able to facilitate there to help individuals.
HEAL President Dr. Sydney Whitaker says they want to meet people where they are at in their recovery process and not only offer support, but bridge the gap.
One of the tenets of addiction recovery is that you have to be available when the person is ready for recovery. And sometimes they can't always get to a clinic or they can't always get to the hospital, or it may be at a time of day whenever they're not ready to make that call for inpatient treatment. So having something like the hub available where they can just drop in whenever they feel the need, whenever it's upon them to get that extra step.
As folks walk through the door, they will be greeted by people that have been in the same position they are in.
The hub is wonderful because it's operated by folks who have been there, that are in recovery themselves. They're peer support specialists. They know what it's like to be in those shoes, and being able to talk to someone who's been where you are now is really helpful, and to see that, hey, they made it through the other side, recovery is possible.
And guide them through the recovery process. In Letcher County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
The center is located next to Whitesburg City Hall. It is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. The driver in a crash at a Southern Kentucky racetrack is talking to us about the moment his car flipped. It happened at Ponderosa Speedway Friday night. A race car flipped into the grandstands. 3 people were hurt and are expected to be okay. The driver, Shane Irvin, was not hurt. He says he has been racing for 24 years and has never experienced anything like that before.
I heard kids screaming, I heard ladies screaming. I'm like, that's odd. There's nobody close enough to the racetrack to hear that. No, nothing I've done or could control, but when you're in the driver's seat, you kind of feel a little bit of blame for it.
Ponderosa Speedway will be open for racing Friday. The director says the section where the crash happened will be closed to spectators. Thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. When we return, once again, another major storm is on its way to Florida as debris from Helene still lines the streets.
And a look at how Milton could be impacting Florida in just a couple of minutes.